Good day, welcome back to my neck of the woods. This is Dika, where I share my life experiences, my knowledge, hoping to lessen your learning curve along the way. The majority of the stuff I share is outdoors, fishing, hunting, clamming, metal detecting, other things like that. Today I'm going to talk about how to hold largemouth bass. Now what I did is I did a little research on this, and I talked to biologists and conservationists and people who are educated in fish and wildlife. I didn't really educate myself through fishermen at all, more through experts who have education. Now these people are all fishermen also, but I didn't ask fishermen any of this information. Before I get started, please subscribe to my page, like any of my videos, and make some comments. You know that I love the comments, good or bad. I enjoy the criticism. That's how I learn. All right, so please subscribe. I would appreciate it. All right, so I'm going to talk about holding a fish. Now, here I am sitting in this little studio that I made, so I don't have a fish. So this is going to be my fish, this paper towel roll. So this will be the head, this will be the gills, and this will be the tail. I'm sure you'll be able to understand it. It's not really a hard concept. So during my sort of research for doing this video, I found out that there's a lot of things maybe I didn't know, and I'm going to change my ways a little bit. So I'm going to start off with all the ways of not to hold a fish. Now, there's something that I see on television a lot, and I see it on like the Major League of Fishing all the time, where they boat flip the fish in, and then they just grab the fish. They just grab it like this, and then they put it on the scale, you know, for their time and whatnot. According to all the people that I spoke with, this is a big, big no-no. Taking your bare hands, or it's even worse with a glove. People use gloves for fishing now. Taking your bare hands and grabbing a fish like this. So the fish has something called a slime coat on it. And basically what it is, and I'm sure that almost everyone who fishes fish is aware of a slime coat and what it does. But maybe we don't take into consideration how important it is to the fish. It's basically like a barrier similar to our skin that stops parasites and infections and things like that to get in. And once we touch that fish, we compromise that slime coat. Now, I'm not saying we wipe it all off and it doesn't come back, but for a short time while that fish is in the water, it loses a lot of that slime coat that that the fish has, and makes that fish susceptible to all the other bacteria in the water, when normally it is not. All right, so grabbing a fish like this is a no-no. We shouldn't be doing that. Which leads me to another thing that, you know, kayak fishermen, especially tournament kayak fishing, they use something called the hog trough. And I mentioned this to a lot of the people that are into fish and wildlife, and they say that taking a fish and laying it on a piece of plastic that has ridges in it, which is your numbers, is detrimental to the slime coat. So what they recommend, and I've seen many, many anglers do this, is before you lay your fish on that hog trough, you dip it in the water and you make sure that it's not dry. That makes a huge difference. And another thing that we do is, like, to secure that fish, we put our hand right on top of that fish. Some people hold a lot of force to do that, or keep the fish in place, which anyone who's ever used a hog trough, it's certainly a skill. You know, some people lean it this way, some people put a net. It's a tough thing to do. So try to be wary of the things that you're doing to compromise that slime coat when you're using a hog trough, okay? So the other thing that I learned, and it's certainly bad, is when we hold the fish like this, and we kind of hold it straight up, and the fish's tail comes down like this. What we're doing is we're torquing the jaw and the gills right there. Now, according to some of the experts that I spoke with, they said it's not so bad on a smaller fish, you know, when you hold it like that, because it doesn't have a huge amount of weight. I'm talking like a 1 pound fish or even less. It doesn't have a huge amount of weight that's going to torque that jaw. So it's kind of okay with the smaller fish, but with the bigger fish, what you want to do is you want to support that tail. When we're holding it up like this and we're taking a picture or a selfie or showing friends or whatever we're doing, it is very detrimental to that fish, because what we're doing is we're forcing that jaw to stay open, the bucket mouth, the wide largemouth bass, or even the smallmouth bass. We're forcing it to stay open by putting sort of downward pressure like this. Because if we just hold it up straight, well, the same thing. It stays open, but it does have the opportunity to close if it wants to. But once you sort of grab that lower lip and you pull on it, and we all do it, we pull down on it, it causes tension in the jaw and in the back, the ridge of the spine here. So they say, and I'm reluctant to believe everything that I hear, because they say, well, the jaw can stay open and it can get locked jaw and eventually kill that fish. Now, I don't know if I entirely buy that, because I've been holding fish like this my whole life. A lot of people I know, and almost every fisherman I know have been holding fish like that, and there are not dead floating fish all over the fisheries that we use. It would kill them all off, I think. But it does make sense, you know, and ultimately we want to preserve the fish that we have, and I don't know, sort of treat them right, respect them a little bit, because they do give us a sort of pastime in fishing that most of us just love immensely. The next one that we want to talk about is the gills. I have seen, and you see this less, you see this on big fish, you know, people holding them by the gills, but they'll go right up underneath and they'll hold it by the gills. Largemouth bass, the classic way is right in that mouth and hold it, but some people do grab it by the gills. They told me any fish, you don't want to grab by the gills, because it's like taking your dirty, dirty hand and shoving it right into their lungs. They are destined to either die or have some sort of horrible infection that they will probably eventually die when we take our hands and we shove it right into their lungs where they breathe. So we want to stay away from that. The other thing that we want to do, that I see a lot of people, and myself included, I'm definitely going to change my ways after doing some of this research, is that we keep that fish out of the water way too long. You get the fish, and then you're going to hold it up, and then you're going to take your phone and you're going to do a selfie, and and especially with kayak fishermen, they're using that hog trough or the bump boards that they use, or the catch boards now. They keep that fish out of the water quite some time. Now, a fish can't breathe out of water. It can't. So I guess the rule of thumb that a friend of mine from the Fish and Wildlife said, keep that fish as long as you can hold your breath, and then get that fish back in. And they always say, get it back in and work it a little bit. Don't just huck it back in. And I've been guilty of that too, and I'm going to change my ways. Right? So that's basically all I have to say about how not to do it. Now, this is what I have to say about the proper way to hold a fish. And there's really only one way, maybe two ways. And that's straight up and down. Straight up and down. Small fish, big fish, you can grab it. Don't grab it like this. Don't wreck that slime coat, and don't mess with the tail either. The tail is very important to them, especially during mating season. They use their tail a lot during mating season, and the front of their mouths during mating season also. But straight up and down is the best way. And they say the bigger the fish, the less you want to do that straight up and down. It's difficult to do a selfie with holding a fish with two hands, so you want to take that quick selfie, get that fish back in the water. But they say with the bigger fish, straight up and down is certainly doable. You don't want that angle. You don't want to be torquing that jaw like this and have all this sort of weight being held by this tiny area right here, which is basically their spine and the bones on the top of the head there, because their gills are on the side, so that's an opening there. So you don't want to be holding that big fish like this. The smaller fish may be okay, but straight up and down is the only safe way to hold a fish. They say with those bigger fish, if you want to get like a trophy picture or whatnot like that, you want to support the tail. And you don't want to grab it either. You don't want to grab it like this. You don't want to grab it in any way, shape, or form. They say just take your hand or your arm, and they'll just move it right up underneath the tail to provide support for that fish. And they say the bigger the fish, the more you want to do that tail support. But according to the Fish and Wildlife and the conservation, and I spoke with a biologist also, they say straight up and down is okay. Now, from what I've found, it's different for striped bass from the ocean. I'm going to do a video on that also, because I don't want the videos to be too long. I like to keep them 10 minutes or even shorter. And apparently striped bass are a whole different ball of wax. So remember all the things I said. Try to be nice to the fish out there. We want to catch them again. And the other things that I do want to mention, none of this applies, I guess, if you're eating the fish. There are a lot of people out there that eat largemouth bass, so I guess it's okay to treat them poorly if you're just going to kill them and eat them. You know, I'm not sure how much they suffer, how much pain they feel, what their sensory is, you know, their nervous system. But if you're eating them, then, I don't know, you can do it a different way. Another thing I wanted to mention before, when we get them back in the water, we want to get them back in the water nicely. You just don't want to just chuck them off a bridge or whatnot. You want to take them down to the water and sort of nurse them a little back and forth and until they get they take the initiative to swim away. All right, that's all I got for you. Please subscribe to my channel. I greatly appreciate it. My followers are getting up there, but I'm hoping to get some more followers and get some more people to view my stuff. All right, thanks again for watching. Subscribe to my page, like my videos, and make some comments. I'll see you guys next time.